Everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the SCU Show. I'm your host, SCU Show number 74. We're almost three-quarters of the way to episode 100. How exciting is that? Next week, we'll have episode 75. Big milestone there for the SCU Show. So I want to give a quick shout out to Brandon Estevez once again, giving us the studio for the 2021 NFL season and possibly beyond. We'll see what happens after the Super Bowl. Go from there. I was supposed to make an announcement this week. Two announcements. Unfortunately, the day before I was supposed to make those announcements, something happened that forced me to postpone it. I was very angry, very upset. But I still have one more announcement coming. We'll have it by the end of the month. So stay tuned to my personal pages, Twitter, RunningFanatic2, main on here. So yeah, be prepared for that. All right, let's get to our stuff this episode. SCU Show 74. Baltimore. Oh my goodness gracious. So I talked about it last week. I wanted to come on here and talk about Lamar Jackson outplayed Tua, and the Ravens dominated the Dolphins, and then Tua dominated Lamar in the fourth quarter. He had 6 total touchdowns in that game, and they came from behind, 35-14. And then this week, what was that? Again, Baltimore. What was that? That 20-3 lead. I was like, oh, wow, look, the Ravens are back on top, back on top of their stuff. Boy, was I mistaken. The Bills came all the way back. And this is what really got me. This is what really irks me. It still irks me today. I talked about it on Monday Night Sports Talk. You can check that out on News Talk New England Facebook page. 4th and goal. You're inside the 5-yard line. You can just kick the field goal. You get the best kicker in the NFL history, Justin Tucker. All you can do, you kick the field goal. You go up by 3. Bills, okay, maybe they'll force overtime. And what did the Ravens do instead? They go for it on 4th down. And what does Lamar do? Throws an interception in the end zone. And that's not even the worst part. That's bad. That might be the worst part, but that's not it. In the end of the game, the Ravens were looking like they wanted to just let Michael Singletary score. And one of the guys went up tackling him. You could see there was a video on CBS Sports' Instagram. The guys were like, "What are you doing? Why would you tackle him?" And what did the Bills do? They wound up running the clock out and winning the game 23-20 with a Tyler Bass field goal as time expired. So, Baltimore, you have a lot of freaking problems this year, obviously. If you look at the Dolphins game, that was atrocious. The game against Buffalo, that 4th down, that irked me the most, more than anything this weekend, was that 4th down. You're inside the Bills 5-yard line. All you do is, you're the best kicker in the NFL ever. All you have to do is kick the field goal. Maybe go to overtime, fine. But instead, you go for on 4th down, and Lamar throws a pick in the end zone. That's horrible coaching by Baltimore. Absolutely atrocious coaching by Baltimore. And that's not even it for when it comes to coaching with the Ravens. Obviously, bad play call. Terrible. I would definitely not have gone for it on a 4th down. Absolutely not. At a tie game, at the end of the game, kick that field goal. Force overtime. Maybe the Bills force overtime. Then you might go win it in overtime. Justin Tucker. Terrible coaching. But that's not even the worst part with the Ravens. The second time this season, they've blown a 17-point lead. Second time. Most teams don't even do it once during the season. The Ravens have done it twice now. And it's all... I could blame Lamar for the 4th down. That's on John Harbaugh. He made that call to go for it on 4th down. Terrible play call. Should have never done it. But then you look at Baltimore's defense. The worst pass defense in the NFL this year so far through the first 4 weeks. Last being week 5. Worst pass defense belongs to Baltimore. Rush defense, not much better. Number 30 in the league. So obviously, while John Harbaugh could definitely make better play calls, that defense is where the real problem is with Baltimore. It was so bad. I know this is kind of a joke, but it might not be. The next day after that Bills loss, Jimmy Smith, their cornerback, he retired from the NFL after the game. It was announced after the game. They were having a press conference on Monday. And Jimmy Smith retired after the game. That's how bad the defense is. That's how bad it is in Baltimore right now. So I'll be the one to say it here. I'm calling for defensive coordinator Don Martindale's job. The man has to be fired. Obviously, the Ravens defense is... you give them that they have the most takeaways in the league. They've also blown the biggest leads in the league this year. 2 17-point leads. One in the fourth quarter. A 21-point lead in the fourth quarter. Blew it. Terrible defense. Besides the takeaways, everything else with Baltimore's defense is atrocious. And it might be time for Don Martindale to lose his job. You can't give her John Harbaugh. No way. Because him and Lamar Jackson, that offense, I mean, we talked about it last week. Lamar has more touchdowns than more than half the league right now. It's not on him. It's on the defense. And you can't get rid of John Harbaugh. Otherwise, who knows what happens with Lamar Jackson. You got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of Don Martindale, defensive coordinator for the Ravens, because their defense, again, is absolutely atrocious. It comes to pass defense, rush defense, all around. Besides the takeaways, it's time to make a change in Baltimore, and that's where it has to start. It's Don Martindale. Absolutely atrocious. Like, I kid you not. I remember watching that on Red Zone with my friend John Burgos, and I'm like, what are they doing? They're going for a fourth down. What are they doing? It's a tie game. And then when Pointer made the interception, I was like, oh my God, are you bleep kidding me? You really made that call, John Harbaugh? Terrible. Absolutely terrible. But again, has more to do with the defense than it does Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh. Speaking of, we'll stick with the R teams here. Another team that, I kind of said this when I first started doing simulated podcast. I said, Super Bowl hangover. It's a thing, ladies and gentlemen. 49ers, after they went to the Super Bowl, hangover. The Eagles won the Super Bowl, hangover. It happens to a lot of teams. A whole lot of teams. Right now, it's happening with the Rams. I mean, yes, you can make the argument that the Niners have dominated the Rams the last 7 meetings. They won 6 of the last 7. Outside the NFC Championship game. The loss they've had in the last 3-4 seasons against the Rams. But that's not it. The fact is that Rams, through 4 games, are just not the same team that won the Super Bowl last year. And I said this, my first episode here in the studio, Matt Stafford. It's all on Matt Stafford. It's not all Matt Stafford, but most of it is on Matt Stafford. Last year, everybody talked about, he won the Super Bowl. Now Matt Stafford has commercials. Matt Stafford led the league in picks last year. What's Matt Stafford doing now? I gotta scratch my head to think about it. Oh yeah, I believe he leads the league in picks for the second consecutive season. Now we're only through 4 weeks, but again, you're seeing the same Matt Stafford you saw in Detroit last year. And Sean McVay's not being able to figure it out right now. It's a problem. The only thing keeping the Rams alive right now is Cooper Kupp. He had 14 catches in that Monday night game against the Niners. The only thing keeping them alive right now is their star Super Bowl MVP, Cooper Kupp. Everything else with the Rams, it's not good. I mean, through the first 4 games, they have struggled, obviously. Fumbles, all these turnovers. Again, Matt Stafford leading the league in picks again. Cam Akers fumbling at the goal line, a game against Arizona. And it doesn't get any easier coming this week, by the way, for the Rams. It doesn't get any easier for the Rams. They got the Cowboys coming up this week. Look at Dallas' defense. They're killing it out there. Trevon Diggs has 2 picks this year. Cooper Rush, we'll get to him in a little bit. Look at what he's doing with the Cowboys offense. And look how good they look under Cooper Rush. Rams, you got again, just like the Ravens, the Rams also have problems. And they'll have to figure out soon. Otherwise, it's going to be another team that suffers that Super Bowl hangover. It's not looking good for the Rams right now. And let's actually get to Cooper Rush, shall we? Get to Cooper Rush. First quarterback. This is very interesting. Cooper Rush is the first quarterback in NFL history, or in Cowboys history, to start 4-0 as a starting quarterback. First 4 games, he's 4-0. Roger Staubach didn't do that. Troy Aikman didn't do that. Tony Romo didn't do that. Even Danny White, from Cowboys fans in the early 90s, Danny White didn't do that. Neither did Dak Prescott. Cooper Rush has led the Cowboys in Dak's absence since week 1, and he's done a stellar job. Amazing job. And now the question on the internet is, what do the Cowboys do from here? Jared Jones has already said, Dak's our guy. Of course he's your guy. You paid him paid him a max deal. You can't get rid of a guy like that if you're paying him all that money. Cooper Rush, he's doing well, though. And you know the expression, if it's not broke, you don't fix it. What is the chance? Dak's healthy. And Jerry Jones says, you know what? Maybe we stick with Cooper Rush for now. Just because we're winning. What is the chances of that? We saw it in 2016, remember that? Romo, Dak Prescott. Cowboys decided to go with their Their new quarterback. Remember that? I remember that. That was one of the years I was a Cowboys fan. I was thinking about that. How Romo lost his job to Dak Prescott, basically. And Romo was like, "Oh, I got to deal with it now." I mean, I know a lot of people think it's crazy. The internet's like, "Oh, that's no way that the Cowboys give Cooper Rush the job over Dak." Well, it's not likely, but it might be a good idea, Jerry Jones. Might want to stick with Cooper Rush when Dak gets healthy, because you guys are winning right now, and you're looking pretty good. I mean, outside the Eagles, you're the best team in the NFC East, obviously. Giants are 3-1, they're looking good, but they had Daniel Jones, who's still a big question mark. And then obviously Commanders, we don't have to go into cards, wins, and all that over again. I don't know if I would keep. I don't know if I'll put Dak Prescott back in the lineup once he's healthy. Because what happens? What if you start losing again? You might go back to Cooper Rush. And then you'll have that situation. What do we do from here? Might be time to look into having Cooper Rush as your starting quarterback moving forward if you are the Dallas Cowboys, because it's working. Winning. Dak's always injured. He's always hurt. At some point, he gets hurt. He plays through his injuries. But, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it might be time for a change in Dallas once again. Wouldn't that be interesting? Cowboys go Cooper Rush over Dak Prescott. I'm sure a lot of fans wouldn't like that. But a lot of people on here, not Cowboy fans, are thinking Cooper Rush is winning. Why wouldn't they go Dak Prescott? And I'm one of those people as well. Just some food for thought if Jerry Jones ever sees this segment on the SCU Show, episode 74. I'm your host, SCU. Well, the NBA. Let's get to a little NBA. The NBA preseason is underway. The Celtics won their first preseason game against the Atlanta Hawks. Very impressive win. And I don't want to talk about the coach and the situation with the coach where he's suspended for the year because he had an inappropriate relationship with the female staff member. I don't get into that type of stuff because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When it comes to the Celtics, they still have this great team around them. Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart. You have all these guys. Jaylen Brown. I mean, look at this team that they still have. It's all still together after they went to the finals last year and were that close. They were that close to winning an NBA title. They had a 2-1 lead. Game 4 was in Boston. And ultimately they blew it. If they had won Game 4 in Boston, Celtics would have won the championship this past season over the Warriors. Unfortunately, a Game 4 loss led to 3 consecutive losses and a Warriors title. They're, fifth in the last 8 years? What a team out there in Golden State. But what a team they have in Boston as well. Like I said, it doesn't matter who the coach is. The fact of the matter is that they have Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, and not only that, look who they've added. Carmelo Anthony, NBA, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. You can make the argument he's not a Hall of Famer. Carmelo Anthony is going to be a Hall of Famer one day. And now he's right here in my backyard, and I'm not trying to be biased here, but I am so excited to go out and see Carmelo Anthony do his thing. I know he still has the juice in him. He's not just a bench player. He can wind up in the starting lineup eventually at some point this year. Maybe fairly early on this year. I'm so excited for Carmelo Anthony to be here in Boston. I might just go get some season tickets to go watch that team because it's going to be a very special team once again this year. And by the way, didn't forget to mention this, they also added Blake Griffin. I mean, come on. Look at the team that they are building. Even without their head coach from last year, going to the finals, still have that amazing head coach. It's going to be a great season for Boston Celtics. I can't wait to watch it, and I'm hoping they get back to the NBA Finals this year. It'd be great to see. Again, not trying to be biased, but I would love to see the Celtics in the NBA Finals with this team that they have around them. And I'm very excited, again, to see Carmelo Anthony and Blake Griffin here in Boston. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait. All right. SCU Show, number 74. I'm your host, SCU. Again, I was supposed to make 2 announcements this week. Well, past weekend. Unfortunately, things happened. And things have been delayed until 2023. There's still one announcement coming. You'll get it by the end of this month. Wait for things to be finalized. And I'm very excited to, of course, bring you that exciting announcement. But until then, it's all on hold. But it's going to be great. It's going to be great. You're going to love what we have coming soon. Can't wait. All right, let's get to everybody's favorite segment of the week. It's the SCU Sizzling Seven, the top 7 teams in the NFL after week 4. Here we go. Number 7 is Minnesota. Yeah, I picked the Vikings to win the NFC North, but they're struggling the last 3 weeks. I mean, they've really struggled these last 3 weeks. They lost Monday night because Kirk Cousins never wins in primetime games, Sunday night, Monday night, whatever it be. They got dominated by the Eagles, which, by the way, is the best team in the NFL. They struggle against the Lions. Now, the Lions do have a top 3 scoring offense in the NFL still, but they're also on pace. Just took this up today. They're on pace to give up 599 points, which would be clearly the most given up in NFL history. The current record is 533 by the Baltimore Colts in 1981. Lions are on pace to destroy that record, so their defense is just as bad as Baltimore's, if not worse. And the Vikings barely beat them. And then they barely beat Andy Dalton, who was a backup to Jameis Winston, with a rookie head coach. No Alvin Kamara. No Michael Thomas. They were a double doink away from overtime with the Saints out in London. The Vikings 3-1. That's great. But they got to get it together. I'm glad Justin Jefferson got back in it. He finally had a touchdown. He didn't have 2. He didn't have 1. He didn't have any in weeks 2 or 3. So glad to see him back out there. And Minnesota, number 7, SCU Sizzling 7 this week. Number 6 is the other team in the NFC North, is Green Bay. The Packers have won 3 in a row. Good job, Green Bay. Kudos to you guys. Love seeing it. But look at what you guys are doing as well. Your offense continues to struggle. Obviously, you have Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs are rookies, and we're Devontae Adams. Randall Cobb's getting old, and Rodgers is getting old. Your offense gives the ball away way too many times. I mean, you had a couple turnovers against Tampa Bay last week and a 2-point win. This week against New England, Bailey Zappi, a 7th-round pick, came in and took Aaron Rodgers to overtime. It's not a good look for Green Bay, despite 3 wins in a row. They got another big one coming up this week, by the way, against the Giants out in London, Sunday, 9:30, NFL Network. Packers number 6. Number 5 is Miami. I don't know, of course, prayers up to Tua. That was a very scary injury. Watched that last Thursday night. Very scary to see. We're hoping he comes back. He is out this week against the Jets, obviously. But we're hoping that he comes back and is able to keep the Dolphins afloat. But right now, they are at number 5 because Tua is out. And I'm not sure what to expect from Teddy Bridgewater. Now, Tyreek Hill is looking like the same guy who was in Kansas City. But is he going to be the same guy without Tua? That's the big question mark when it comes to Tyreek Hill. Well, it's a wait-and-see situation. They're playing the Jets, who had a nice win in Pittsburgh, but it's not much to talk about there. So keep the Dolphins at number 5 right now. We'll see how this week goes with Teddy Bridgewater. Number 4 is the Jaguars. Yes, the Jaguars are climbing on up because they are still a very impressive team. I talked about last week what a win for the Chargers. The one word to describe the Chargers was wow. This week, still wow. They were up 14-0 against the Eagles. They never had a 14-point lead against Philadelphia. At the end of that game, they had a chance to go down the field and potentially tie the game or even win the game. I don't remember the final score, but they were in that game in the last seconds against the Eagles until Trevor Lawrence was strip sacked. Fumbled the football, the Eagles recovered, and they won. But that was a hell of a game against the top team in the NFL. The Jaguars continue to impress. They're still in first place in the AFC South. And they are number 4 in the SCU Sizzling 7 this week. Number 3 is Buffalo. I mean, we just talked to start the show, we talked about it. What a crap performance by the Ravens. Play calling, defense, everything was terrible in that game against Buffalo after a 20-3 lead. On the other hand, great comeback by Buffalo. They found their rhythm. After being down 20-3 after their loss against the Dolphins, they found their rhythm. Now they're back on top in the AFC East, and they're looking like, again, a Super Bowl contender. I picked them in the Super Bowl before the season. I'll stick with that for now. And right now, they're number 3. Number 2 is Kansas City. I think the Chiefs, while I do think the Bills would win the Super Bowl, the Chiefs would beat them in a playoff game. They've done that the last 2 years. Patrick Mahomes has had the best of Josh Allen the last few years. And look at what the Chiefs did on Sunday Night Football against Tampa. They dominated. They were up 21-3 at one point. They were scoring not even the opening kickoff. They were able to force the fumble, recover, and turn that into points. Then everybody's talking about, obviously, Patrick Mahomes, his big touchdown. He spun away from a defender, just like floated the ball up in the air to, I think it was Clyde Edwards-Helaire who caught the touchdown. And that just made an international headlines. Just Patrick Mahomes doing that. He's an amazing quarterback. The Chiefs are an amazing team. Even, let's see, without Tyreek Hill, by the way. Chiefs are number 2 in this week's SCU Sizzling 7. Well, I think you know who number 1 is at this point. It's Philadelphia. Philadelphia continues to be the best team in the NFL. Not only do they dominate teams, they also show resiliency. Obviously, down last week, they were down 14-0 to the Jaguars. Came all the way back. They defense forced the fumble in the end to clinch the victory. And Jalen Hurts continues to be just an amazing quarterback. I love what he's doing out in Philly. It's amazing. Root for the Eagles. They're the only now undefeated team left in the NFL at 4-0. 4-0 for the first time again since 2004, in which they went to the Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles are number 1 in this week's SCU Sizzling 7. All right, well, that is it for this week. Next week, again, episode number 75. It's going to be a great show. Cannot wait to come back, talk about that. This week, we have Thursday Night Football. Oh, God almighty. Good luck to Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. The Broncos and the Colts. But if there was no Ravens defense, these two teams would be the 2 worst teams in the NFL. And they just might be. They might be worse than the Ravens because the Ravens offense is so good. And Denver lost to Vegas. 12 first downs in Vegas. Nathaniel Hackett might just be getting this pink slip before Super Bowl Sunday. He just got hired this year, ladies and gentlemen. So be on the look for that. And could Frank Reich be in the hot seat as well for Indy? I mean, God, they're awful. The Colts are terrible. Might be the second worst team in the league because the Broncos are really just that bad. Of course, I'm going to watch it. Thursday Night Football. It's football. That's what we do. We watch football here in America. But anyway, that's enough of me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been episode number 74 of